deciding to go to university is such a pain in the arse. Well, for some people at least. It took me 6 months to decide if I was to go or not, being drawn between two opinions of you should go to university, you shouldn't go. And then there are other options saying do an apprenticeship, start your own business, pulling me one way and then the other. I had absolutely no idea which idea I was going to decide on, nor what I was going to do after school. It seemed coming to a decision was impossible, with the risk of choosing wrong being that I wasted many years of my life. So if that sounds familiar, this is the video I wish I had. But before I continue, let me tell you something. It is actually a good thing you're feeling this way. It is a good thing you're taking a step back and thinking, what am I going to do? It's a good thing you're not jumping straight in. There's really three options in this circumstance. Either you know what you're going to do, you have a passion, that's the best option. Not many people have that, unfortunately. You have the second one, which is the one you're in. You don't really know. And the third one is you go to uni. Most people, when they leave, they're in the exact same position they were like you are right now. So it is a good thing that you're taking the time to think now rather than later, where the consequences probably are larger. Let me tell you my story. Back in, I think it was February, March time. As I said before, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do. My sixth form was starting to make us fill out UCAS application forms. I resisted for some reason that I don't particularly know reason why, but I just resisted it. I didn't want to fill it out. I didn't want to stick to one decision straight away. I wanted to have more time to think. It was genuinely painful when people asked me what was I going to do when I was older, because I didn't know, and neither probably do you, hence why you're watching this video. I'd have many conversations with my tutor about what I was going to do. I'd tell them mere interests I had, such as designing random things. So I said maybe I could do landscape architecture, just to get him off my back. Or, well, knowing I would not want to do that as a career. I eventually had a conversation with an amazing guy at my school. He was a business teacher. And we talked about, only for an hour, well, what my goals were, what my interests were. We talked about university, the rat race, all of that. And coming to the decision that I was going to fill out the UCAS form and apply to university, and that was it. Still at that point, I did not know what I was going to do, but I was leaning more to not going. For some reason, it just felt right to me. I applied for a business management, what was it? Business management and an entrepreneurship degree at Nottingham-Trent. I eventually opted that I didn't want to go to university, and I definitely made the right decision. That doesn't mean that will be the right decision for you, but it definitely was for me. From that 1 hour conversation, what came of it is that I've got to really just look at what I want. What am I interested in? So you may be wondering, what am I actually doing now that I haven't gone to university? Maybe he's just bumming around on YouTube. No, a little bit. My school actually got this opportunity where a guy came in and he'd talk about business related things. We'd develop business plans, and that was really interesting to me. I've heard furthermore about the company he worked for, and that company was, they're like a third party company that had helped people my age that were not in work or education. An opportunity came up for an open day at a company. I attended it. It was a really good company that progressed to work experience, that now an internship I'm currently at, and then hopefully a full-time employment after that. it is, I guess, like, it's an understatement to say that I got lucky. Most people would not have found that opportunity. But the opportunity would not have come if I didn't apply myself, by learning. It was only through constantly asking them, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? That I was actually able to get that opportunity. It's not going to help just applying to bloody Indeed, is it? And that's not going to help either. You've got to apply yourself. In my opinion, university just didn't hold up to the same that it used to. The degrees aren't worth as much as they used to be. Than looking for work experience more than going to university. The stuff they teach is just not applicable, if that's the right word, to everyday life. What you're going to learn, you're never going to remember, never use ever again. Back in primary school, you don't use that. Well, like counting and stuff, of course, but the stuff you learn in primary school, it just gets you to secondary, it just gets you to sixth form, it just gets you to university, and you forget all the stuff behind because you just don't need it. Just to get to that next stage, to show you that you can actually learn. A piece of paper to show, yeah, I can retain information. But what use is that? That's what I thought. I could yap on forever about all the different ins and outs about the debt at university, or you could go to an apprenticeship, because you don't. You're only going once a week, but I feel like you probably already know that. What I'm going to talk about is that you've just got to block out the noise. You've got to really hone in on what you want, not what other people want. You've got the whole of society really telling you that you should go to university, get a degree, go work and die. The big leading factor was that the stuff they were going to teach me in that degree that I was going to do, I thought I could learn a lot more that was actually useful information on my own. The business stuff that they teach at uni, that just wouldn't be the same, would it? Than actually going to a business and learning from them, or just through courses online. A degree is only worth it if you're going into a specialised role, like a doctor or an engineer, because you actually need a good degree to get that job. Like, there's no other way around it. Most people now just go to university because that's the norm. That's what they've been told their whole lives that they should. That's what they're meant to do. At least you realise that, you're taking the time, as I've said, taking the time to step back. Because at least you're not going to find out later that, that degree was not worth it. Not interested in that subject. At least you know now. Because even if I have a main interest in a degree, I'm going to leave that and still be in the same predicament. One of your biggest issues, at least that I had, was that if I made the wrong decision, it would be a waste of time. I've just tried 3-4 years at university, found out I didn't like that. What a waste of time. I went into a job, I didn't like it. Waste of time. But let me tell you, it is not a waste of time for trying. At least you found out. It's much better than doing something and still continuing to think, what should I do? Because at least you found out just by trying. If you decide not to go to university, don't just think that you can just slack off, get out of routine, wake up late all the time. You just still got to dial in. Regardless if you go to university or not, you've still got to learn something. That's the key. You've got to learn regardless if you're in formal education or not. Because if you're trying to apply for a job, right, they see that you've just been working in retail forever and nothing else, that's not going to look appealing. If you constantly grow your knowledge, invest into yourself, read books, take online courses, develop yourself, that's what we interested to employers. Develop those skills, regardless if you're going to university or not. Granted, people who actually do go to university probably won't learn the stuff that you're learning because they think, oh, I'm university, I'll be fine afterwards. As going to my point, they haven't found out yet what they're going to do. You have that. That's what will make things better. You actually have found out it. Yes, it seems bad now, but trust me, it is very good that you do know. Oh yeah, this is me a week later, and I thought I'd film another little section because I want to elaborate on my story that I told. My internship that I was talking about finished a few days ago, and I decided not to continue it. I'll tell you why. In my internship, I progressed through a production role to a client services role, and then to finally a sales role where I wanted to be. Strange, I know, an 18-year-old wanting to go into sales, but great skill to learn. That's why I wanted to do it. It was only through asking and constantly applying myself that I was able to get through there. Anyway, it came to my end of intern review, and in that meeting, the job role that they offered me was one in production, packaging. Now, although it was an amazing company, great people, the opportunities would have been very high. I had to really step back, right, and again think about what I wanted. I wrote down on a Google Doc what I was thinking just to get it off my mind, talk to people I actually trusted with their opinions, and I really had to think, what did I want? What did I want long term? And it was only through that I came to the conclusion, that was the door, if you heard that, what I wanted. I eventually decided on no, and it was the right decision for me. A few days ago when I was kind of stuck in deciding what I was going to do, because believe me, it was not an easy decision. It was much harder than deciding to go to university or not, but anyway, he highlighted to me that most people just flow through life without really giving a thought. They just kind of say yes to everything, kind of do what they're told, and I guess that's how people get stuck in a job that they don't really like, a midlife crisis and all of that. It's kind of ingrained into me to, if my boss or something's asking me, oh, can you do this? An example, he asked me to go onto a cutting machine. I absolutely hated it, and within an hour I told him, can I go back to production? And it was only through that, I really think now, is this for me? If it's not, I say no. And you shouldn't be afraid to say that, okay? This is your life, and you should do what you want. Easier said than done though, because it is very hard to overcome that barrier. But once you do, you definitely feel a lot more free. I take those experiences that I learned, I would have 100% do it again. I learned so much. It was that first stepping stone into finding what I wanted to do. Now I progressed to the next stage, working closely with that third-party company I mentioned about, still applying myself, still learning, hence why I'm doing YouTube Monday morning. I'm still applying myself, and then I'll go to the next stage, learn, apply myself, and get to where I want to be, wherever that may be. But I hope that helps. If you've got any further questions, you can drop them in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them back. But with that, thank you.